Well, hello, everybody. Let me turn this banner off here. Hope everybody is doing great. Happy October. Happy Preptober for all my friends who are getting ready for NaNoWriMo. And happy fourth quarter. So it's the fourth quarter, and yeah, who knew that this year would fly by so quickly? So, yes, so 3 months left. These 3 months are actually like 1.5 months because we're going to have all of October. And then for my friends who celebrate Thanksgiving, the second half of November is kind of shot. And then we're going to have December, which doesn't really even feel like a month. The next thing you know, folks, we are going to be celebrating New Year's, right? So this is our last push for the year to get those words in, get those projects done, learn some things, new skills that you need to learn that are going to help you crush it in 2023, and just have fun. All right, so I'm glad to have all of you here. There has been a big development that I want to just talk about for a minute. But first, I'm going to welcome everybody in here. Want to say, let's see, people who are working on stuff, I'm going to highlight those first. So .c, as usual, continuing on Latest Book and Drinking Coffee, welcome. Welcome, Christina, and drinking some black coffee. That actually sounds really good this morning. I wasn't able to get my act together. I was prepared, but I didn't make my tea yet this morning. So Greblox, and you tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right or wrong, because I know I've been saying it that way, but I don't know if it's right. Coffee, of course, and still editing the manuscript of my urban fantasy novel. Awesome. Christina is working on a beat sheet for her dark 1920s fantasy romance. Sounds like fun. And Tandra working on a nonfiction book and headed to a quiet spot with different scenery. That's always nice. You know, I was just thinking the other day, I was passing a Starbucks. I was like, it's been a long time since I've been in a Starbucks on a Saturday morning. That's I kind of missed that vibe. Okay, and Queen Alina fan working on a starting point for an idea. Very, very cool. And who else here? Oh, Haley Mist. Hope everyone makes it through Stormy Ian. I'm delaying cleaning up my yard by writing this morning. Well, positive vibes your way, Haley. Hopefully your cleanup is not too bad. I'm glad that you weathered the storm. Yeah, that was a big one, man. That was big. Okay, and let's see here. Who else? Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments come in. All right, so I want to make sure we get to the words, but I want to say something about a big development that has happened since the last Power Hour, technically. I don't know if any of you have seen the new AI art generators that have come out. Midjourney basically opened up their beta last month for anyone to create AI art now. Anyone can do it. And all you have to do is type in something, and the AI will generate whatever you want to see. So if you want to see a broccoli riding a skateboard, it'll do that for you. If you want to see a broccoli riding a skateboard in the style of Salvador Dali, it'll do that. Or in the style of Vincent van Gogh. If you want to see an attractive blonde wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket standing in an alley, you can do that. I say that because those are all prompts that I've done. So this is a game changer. And now, just 2 days ago, DALL-E 2, and I did a video on DALL-E, has opened up their beta for anyone and everyone who wants to use it. So now there are 3 major AI art generators on the market: Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion. All right, and Wombo, but that's kind of a lesser one. So anyway, why do I say all of this? I say it because it's going to impact every one of us, even if you don't realize it yet. So for the first time ever, it is now more affordable and easy to create your own covers with AI art, assuming you know how to use Photoshop. That's thing number one. Number two, you've got to make sure that your designer is not using AI art with your book covers. Because if they are, there's still a lot of legal things around this yet, and you want to make sure you got to be really, really careful. And three, if you're buying stock media now, you kind of have to be careful that it's not necessarily AI generated, because these AI art systems are using copyrighted material to create the beautiful images that they do, and the area is still real gray on that right now. So you almost have to be a little careful now in ways that you didn't before. But this is a watershed moment. This has been the biggest thing I have seen happen since probably the advent of the Kindle, at least in my time as a writer. It's going to change things in ways that I don't think we can appreciate yet. So if you're sleeping on this, don't sleep on it. Pay attention to it, because you may be able to benefit from it, but you're also going to have to be careful of it because of some of the thorny issues that are around it right now. All right, so I've said my piece. I just had to say that this was on my mind. Yeah, it's going to happen, and it's here. All right, so excellent. Okay, we got a lot more people joining. Fantastic. So I want to let everybody know. Just I'm not always good about announcing this up front, but anyone who wants to buy a book from me for directly, you can get 15% off. Go into authorlevelup.com/books and just use the code POWERHOUR. That's just a standing code for anyone who is interested in purchasing anything that I've got. And also my thanks to you for showing up today. So authorlevelup.com/books and just use the code POWERHOUR for any book you want to buy from me directly. I offer ebooks and audiobooks, and anything that's in my catalog you can grab. And I don't advertise this, but the code is unlimited. I'm not gonna limit you from doing it, but I only advertise it to you all. All right. So anyway, all right. So everyone's working on some really good stuff. It's gonna be NaNoWriMo for sure, and I want to see what some folks had to say about AI art. Greblock said I did my cover. Yeah, and use no copyright photos. That's exactly it, right? So the key is, when you're using this technology, don't use copyrighted photos, and don't use artists whose names are not in the public domain in your prompts. And I actually think most people will probably be okay. But yeah, it's an amazing. I posted some images that I created. Maybe I'll share them on the stream a little bit later during the next break, just so you guys can see how it is here. And yeah, SD says, I've played with Wombo. Yeah, Wombo looks like Child's Play now compared to Midjourney and DALL-E. So yeah, these are some crazy developments that I just want people to pay attention to. Even if you don't use it, keep an eye on it, because places like Shutterstock and Getty Images have just announced this week that they're banning AI images from their sites. All right, so it seems like every day something new is happening. So there's definitely a lot of gasoline on this. All right, so looks like we've got a lot of regulars in the Power Hour, and that's awesome. But for anyone who is new, I want to just lay out the rules, and all my regulars can help me with this, because there's some questions that are sure to come up, and you know exactly what I'm about to say. But if this is your first time here, first off, glad to have you here. Second, this is a Power Hour, so what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to put a timer up on the screen, and that timer is going to count down. I'm going to play some nice, relaxing music to help you focus, help you concentrate, and do some writing. We're going to do some writing. So I'm going to be working on a short story. I know many of you are working on novels. Some of you are working on prep work. Some of you might even be working on some artwork or your website, or even just doing some editing. That's all good. We're just going to be productive and get some stuff done. So when the timer counts down, I'll come back on. We'll shoot the breeze. I want to know how you did. And then I also will answer any questions that any of you have. So you all know that I'll stay on the stream as long as needed to make sure that all your questions get answered. And we'll do this 3 times. All right. So that's why we call it a Power Hour. It'll be 90 minutes. All right. So it's really good stuff. And I'm looking forward to this one, because I'm going to be working on a short story. I finished one last night. So I'm going to be going through it and getting it ready for my editor. And then I have a magazine article that I need to write. So I need to get hopping on that. So let's go ahead, folks, and get started. Let's get the words going. I'm going to put the first timer on the screen and some music as well, and let's get it done. Good luck, everybody.
Is everybody in the groove? Well, stick around. We're just warming up, baby.
All right. How did everybody do? Let me know. In the comments, let me know how many words you got and how you're feeling. All right. So let's take a look at some comments that came in. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Okay. Shannon says she's organizing an AuthorTube Secret Santa for the second year. If anyone is interested, sign up form is on her video that she released today. All right. So just look up Estee's YouTube channel if anyone is interested in doing that. Okay. I am working on a short story. I wrote 2 short stories this week. I've been writing a lot of short stories lately. It's been helping me hit my goal. I don't know if I shared this or not. I think I had settled on this after the last Power Hour. But my goal is to write 1 million words next year. So I'm trying to get started this year by trying to get a sense of what it's going to take. And I don't know if any of you have ever written 1 million words per year, but it's kind of insane. You have to write 2,750 words per day, nonstop. And if you fail, then the math just gets brutal. So I wrote 100,000 words last month in September. So one of those, or 5,000 of those words, was a short story that I'm just reviewing very quickly so I can get it ready for my editor. And then I have a magazine article that I'm going to try to write. So I've been writing like a speed demon. All right. Jocelyn took out 75 words and added some changes, 98 words total. Awesome. And Troy says, this always goes by quicker than I expect. Yeah, the time does fly, doesn't it? All right. TextVet Jeb Jonathan making progress with 183 words. Okay. Haley, looking through my favorite YouTubers' vids to get their Preptober tools. Pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what my Preptober tools are. I think it's just a voice recorder. And organization and Scrivener, I suppose. My camera went fuzzy. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, .c 437. Nice work. 540. It's always easy when you start, though. Yes, it is, Queen Alina fan. It is always easy when you start. It's what we like to call the honeymoon phase, right? So, but if you know that, knowledge is power, right? So that when things start getting harder, you kind of know that this is part of the process, not necessarily anything wrong with you or your work. That's the beauty of self-knowledge. All right, Mr. Tree, 217 so far. Ty, 445 and feeling productive. I want to finish 10,000 words in the next 2 weeks. Very nice. I hope you get there. That's a good goal to have. All right. And Deborah Edwards, working on my plot for NaNoWriMo. Yep, 'tis the season for NaNoWriMo. All right. And Penny, working on an illustration. Very nice. And Wyland, today is a research day and learning somewhat of a niche type of writing, a fictional cookbook. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I've seen something like that before. I can't remember where I saw it, but that's a really cool idea. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well, hey, everybody's doing great. This is good stuff. This is October is like my favorite month. The main reason for that is I think I talk about this a lot, but I like to do my planning for the next year in October. And I also like to do my cleanup for the next year in October. So if I've got any projects that I haven't quite finished yet, I try to get those done in October. And also start thinking about where I want to be this time next year in October. And for the most part, it works pretty well. Because what I find is, when I want to do some goals, December is just too late. Like I said, December is just not really a month. December is a cruel joke of a month. It just doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. So if you do your planning in October, you can do it purposefully, and you feel like you have a lot of time. Whereas if you do it in December, you always feel rushed. And if you do it in January, it's kind of too late to do your goals for the year. I mean, you could, but it just feels pretty late. And DCJ says, Under the Tuscan Sun was a fictional cookbook. Okay, yeah, I haven't read that one, but that's a pretty good recommendation. So, yeah, this is a lot of fun. Oh, Troy says, I love writing in the blustery fall weather with all the vibrant colors. Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to someone who's going to go to Montreal in about 3 weeks, And I was like, oh man, I bet, because they're gonna drive up to get there. And I was like, man, I bet the trees are gonna just look amazing. In like 2 or 3 weeks, it's gonna be like peak fall, leaves changing, just like beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right. Greblock says a question. I have problems wondering to keep a long breakfast scene where people wake up, drink coffee, eat waffles, and relay backstory through dialogue. I think my editor would tell me to cut it. Thoughts? Yeah, that's interesting. What I don't see there is anything that moves the story forward. So are you moving the story forward? Because generally speaking, if you're going to have people in a room eating or doing something, the story is still progressing in some way, whether it be a tension in a relationship, or they're eating, taking a break because they just got their butts kicked by a villain and they're trying to relax, and there has to be generally a reason. I shouldn't say has to be, but generally there is a reason why the characters are eating. So if the eating is secondary to what's going on in the plot, I say go for it. If they're just eating just to have a meal, then yeah, that's probably, you're probably going to pad your words. It's actually a really good question, because I just finished this short story that I'm writing, and there is a scene where it's a story about a couple that's going on a camping trip with the heroine's dad, and the trip is the trip where the boyfriend is going to ask for permission to marry her, but the dad's kind of a jerk. And so they're eating in the kitchen, and how I did it was like 2 lines of dialogue, and the dad's eating a ham sandwich, but the ham sandwich only exists because there's some tension. He's trying to avoid having the conversation with his daughter about the marriage, So I don't know. That's why I said that. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, Jocelyn says, fall is such a magical time. Yes, it is. And .c, my goal for October is to finish the draft I'm working on. A lofty goal, since I'm only at about 7K. I can get that done. I can work on a new idea. 7K is actually a really good place to be with 31 days left. I mean, if you do the math on that, I mean, I don't know how long your novel's going to be, right? But, if you assume 50,000 words, subtract the 7,000 from that leaves you with 43,000. You divide that by, let's just say, for the sake of argument, 31. That's only about just shy of 1,400 words that you have to write every day. I'm not sure what your daily word count is, but that puts some math to it. Kind of gives you a sense of what you need to do. That sounds pretty actionable to me. I think that's doable. If you think about it, it's actually just short of what you need to do for NaNoWriMo. So for NaNoWriMo, you need to do 1,666.7 words per day in order to get there. Yes, I put the decimal in there. But yeah, that's what you have to do for NaNoWriMo. So actually, it's a little bit easier than Nano. All right. Okay. I do see another question in here, but let's go ahead and get to our next session. You guys know I'll get to your question during the next segment. I will also plan on sharing some of the AI art that I created as well, because I know some of you may want to see that. So let's go on to our second writing session, and happy writing, everybody. All right. How did everybody do? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what your word counts are. And I'm going to answer a couple questions that came in the interim. So Troy asks, I'm struggling with bogging down the reader with too much world building via dialogue in my fantasy book. Oh, it's not a question. Okay. Yeah, it's a tough question. We were talking about the prior thing here. Yeah, the world building, I mean, the key is really just to layer it in. Don't throw it all at the reader at the same time. Kind of give them space to breathe. So give them a few details, then some action and narrative, or some action and dialogue. Give them a few more details, then some action and dialogue. But then the pacing of the book also matters. I mean, in the beginning of the book, you're probably going to give more than you would in the middle, and necessarily probably more than you would at the end when they're familiar with the world. So there's definitely a delicate balance to follow here. Okay, DCJ says, I'm struggling a bit with constant new ideas to develop, and I don't know if it's boredom or what. How many projects at once is too much, or is it a bad idea altogether? Yeah, I think you have to follow your creative voice and your muse. So what I try to always do is pick the projects that I'm passionate about. All right, so I pick the projects that get me excited to get out of bed in the morning. So like this short story, I had no idea what I was going to write, but I like the idea of it. And that got me excited. I wrote another story earlier this week that was very similar to that. And I had a million other things that I could have chosen to written. I'm supposed to write a new book starting this week on marketing for authors. And I'm excited about that, but these stories got me more excited. So I picked those first. So now I'm going to pick the thing that I'm most excited to write, and I'm going to start that book here over the next week. So I guess the question is, how do you fill that creative well, right? So how do you make sure that you always are coming up with ideas that you like, that you don't get bored with? Because if you're getting bored, maybe that's a sign that you've picked the wrong idea, right? That's what I would think about. But, just kind of the tried and true fundamentals always work here. So continuing to expose yourself to new people and situations, getting away from the writing desk for a time, just to get out there in the world and interact with people. That does wonders for your creativity. Reading books, watching movies, playing video games, listening to music, more than you normally would, also does wonders for the creativity. And then you marry that with the ideas that you're most passionate about, and continue to read books in your genre, then creativity becomes less of a problem over time. But you have to do it on a regular basis. That's the trick. All right. It's a good question. Okay. All right. Ty, 382 words. TextFet Jonathan, 260. Mr. Tree, 300. Mr. Tree, did you change your name? I thought you were Mr. Tree. Okay, no, your word count was 217. Okay, I just missed the 818 there. I don't know why I'm so focused on numbers today. All right, Queen Alina fan, 426. Hunter Hendrick got distracted, but complete 100 words in 100 days. Nicely done. Jocelyn did some editing and added 29 words. And Troy officially hit the 25K mark on my novel. Nicely done. Been since March. It's crazy to think you wrote 100K last month. Yeah, we are. We are all on different points in our journey. There was not that long ago where I was not writing 100,000 words a month. So it's definitely something you work up to, and something that you can do one day if you develop the skills. So it's all good. Okay, DCJ, and by boredom I mean being stuck on a scene. Yeah. So what I said, I will reinforce. If you're stuck on a scene, I think it means that your creative voice is getting bored. And what I think you should do is charge through that scene as quickly as you can. Don't write sloppy, but don't spend a whole lot of time questioning whether it's good or not. Because what it means is your creative voice is ready to get to the next thing. So I come across this a lot when I'm writing. If I find myself getting just a little bored, then that means I need to pick up the pace. And then generally what I'll find is that when I come back to that section, that it was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just that I was excited to get to the next thing. All right, so try that. Maybe that'll work. Like I said, don't be sloppy, but just get through it quickly. Okay, Wyland, is there a legal agreement to consider with a book that's both fictional yet the recipes are real? Yeah, Wyland, that's a good question. I mean, I certainly wouldn't plagiarize somebody else's recipes. I mean, I wouldn't plagiarize like a Gordon Ramsay or Julia Child's recipes. If Gordon Ramsay's famous fish and chips requires X, Y, and Z, I probably wouldn't have a recipe in my book that has X, Y, and Z. Because there is such a thing as plagiarism and copyright infringement, I suppose, even if you're writing recipes. But if you're just making up the recipes, I don't necessarily see a huge problem with it. I just wouldn't copy anybody else's. Okay. Let's see. Wyland asks, how much do your dreams affect your writing? Quite a bit sometimes, Wyland. I wrote a story 2 weeks ago that basically came to me in a dream. And it was I had a weird dream. I didn't really know what to make of it, but I was like, oh, that would make a really, really cool story. And so I took the emotions and the feelings from that dream and imparted them into the story. Sometimes I dream what's supposed to happen next in my books. Like if there were probably a few times in my Rat Shifter series where honestly I didn't know what was going to happen next, so I slept on it and the idea came to me, in a dream. So definitely they impact me a lot. I have dream sequences in my books quite a bit. That Rat Shifter series actually has quite a bit of dream sequences. So yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, Wyland, I didn't know that about you, Wyland. You're a professional chef. Okay, so you got no problems then. No problems at all. Okay, I wanted to show you all some of my AI art. We'll see if this works or not. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Okay, these are very crude, by the way. I'm learning how to do my own covers. For those who don't know, I'm learning how to do them, and I put these together. Sometimes I can't tell what you guys can see and not see. Okay, so I put these together in InDesign very, very quickly. I used AI art. So what I ended up doing was I used Midjourney for these, and I typed in I was doing an exercise for Dean Wesley Smith's cover design class, and I just put these together to prove a concept. All right, so I typed in blonde in a leather jacket, and I had the model on an isolated background. So then what I did is I cut the model out of the background and put them into a alley that was also generated by AI. So the text on this is a little janky. I completely recognize that. And then this was the second book in that. So same model or some very similar model, just to try to prove the concept, to see if I could, create a branded series with my name in the same place, all that stuff. And then I decided to what would happen if I tried to redo one of my existing series. So I have a series called The Dream Mage, and book one is Dreamborn. So I tried to see, okay, one of the biggest problems with stock models or stock photos is you can't find people of color, like enough people of color. Like everybody has that same black woman on their cover. So it's like, okay, what would AI look like if I could generate like a model? So I created her on a separate prompt, and then I created the background, which is kind of very painterly, separately, and then I put her on the background. It's really, really rough Photoshop work. I completely understand that. This was before I learned how to use Photoshop's pen tool, by the way, and refine edges. So the model definitely could stand out from the background a little bit better. And then I tried to do book two in the same series. Like, I put her in like a abandoned church, and then so I thought that one, I like the colors on that. I thought that turned out pretty cool. But again, really rough Photoshop work. This is just to prove a concept. That's all I was trying to do. And then, the third book, which her face is kind of jacked up, but you get the point. So, yeah, I mean, I tried to replicate the urban fantasy look that a lot of like the traditional published books have, where they're like very painted urban fantasy, really cool looking, super clean text, all that stuff. So guys, I put these together in just a few minutes. Like I literally typed in what I wanted for the heroine, and it took maybe 30 minutes to get the image right. Then I had to clean that up a little bit with Photoshop, and then once I had the images, it was just as simple as dragging and dropping them into a template. So it is now easier than ever to do your own covers if you wanted to do that, assuming you know how to use Photoshop and InDesign. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now, but I just wanted to share that. Do with it what you will. All right, so yeah. Thanks everybody. Yeah, I'm still learning a lot. I don't profess to be a professional at this, but for a proof of concept, I thought it worked pretty well. And then okay, yeah, Queen, yeah, it says I like the book 2 cover. I think that cover just makes her look more central to the cover. Yeah, I agree. Yep, Alley abandoned Haley Alley abandoned church cemetery. Yeah, I mean, and you can generate all that with a prompt. So you could type in Midjourney or DALL-E, I want a creepy cemetery, with bokeh effects, and you get it, Or you could type in, I want a dark alley with like a cyberpunk theme with lots of neon lights and screens, and you get it. And if you don't like it, you can click a button and it'll generate variations. It'll try to do different things. Like, it's amazing. Like, if you can't find stock photos that match what you want, which is the problem a lot of the time, now you have another solution, right? So that's why I think this is just, I think this is just amazing. So it's a game changer, guys. It's a game changer. All right. So, okay. Okie dokie. I'll probably do some videos on Midjourney and some other stuff on my site at some point when I get back to doing regular videos. I know some folks have done it. I mean, just go to YouTube and type in AI art and just spend 10, 15 minutes looking at what some people can do and just watch how they do it. And I think you'll see why this is such a big deal. Okay. Well, hey, thank you all for the kind words here on those covers. I'm not using them, by the way. They were just practice sessions. Maybe I'll one day redo this series and try to get them done. Oh, yeah, and definitely if you want illustrated covers, this is definitely a way to do it now. And this is, don't forget that, we have to be sensitive to designers. A lot of designers and illustrators are very understandably worried here, and I understand it, but at the same time, if there's a technology that we can use to dial in what we're trying to do as authors, I don't think you should discount that. And I think more people will begin using this over time. So I get the concerns around designers, and I think there's some things we can do to help designers and support them and be ethical. I won't get into that here, but yeah. Anyway, let's jump into our next session, folks. And this is our last session. So let's go ahead and get her done. So good luck, everybody. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a good writing session. Let me know, how did you do? And put your word count for the third session in here, and then your word count for the day. So let's figure out how everybody did. Okay. Haley says, cute truck and pumpkin picture. Yeah, I like that. Fall. It's not fall without pumpkins, right? So my images were very pumpkin-y this month. All right. Friedrich says, big fan of your content, particularly on Writing Into the Dark. I personally intend to free write my stories till I die. Hey, write or die, write into the dark or die. Hey, singing my song. All right. Okay, Deborah, 2/3 of my plot laid out. Very nice. And Ty, first one to report, 3:15 and total 11:42. Elbow cough. Now, is that elbow cough because that's not what you wanted, or is it because it was a true elbow cough? I'm intrigued. Okay. TextFet Jeb, 138,582 for the day. Queen Alina, 514.70 total. Very nice. Mr. Tree, 300 for a total of 813. Okay, Ty, that was supposed to be a dab. Okay, gotcha now. Okay. Nice. Nicely done, everybody. So I got my short story done and ready for my editor. I literally I have like 5 things I'm going to send my editor this week. She's going to be she's going to be really busy because you got a lot to work on. I got a book and like 4 short stories, and then I'm going to have a magazine article. So there's a lot I'm going to send her. So I've literally attached it to this draft email. I have put it in my little spreadsheet to record that I did it. And now I've officially forgotten about this story. I don't even remember what the story's about. So I'm hanging in there. Okay. And yeah, I was actually doing, I need to start this magazine article, but I was working on some cover stuff real quick. All right. Queen Alina says, I thought that was a sick dab. All right. TextVet Jeb, I keep failing at plot when riding into the dark. I'm going to the dark side and am now plotting. Hey, whatever works for you, if that's what gets the words flowing, if that's what gets you excited, hey, go for it. I just happen to think that there's a better way, but that's okay. Everybody finds their own way. So if Jonathan, if you start plotting and that gets you excited, gets you out of bed in the morning, it improves your word count, it makes you feel good about the stories that you're writing, I got no problem with that. All I care about is helping people find the way that works for them. All right. So I've known people that they do a mix of plotting and pantsing, riding into the dark. Some people, they ride into the dark completely. Some people love to outline completely. There's no right or wrong way. I'm just very opinionated about riding into the dark because of the wonderful things it's done for me in my career. All right. Dot C, 426 this session, 952 total. So hey, Dot, just to put a dot on this point, you only got 400 words left for the day. A little bit less than 400 words actually to hit your goal, to get to the goal potentially, if your novel is 50,000 words. So, all right. DCJ, apparently you can't send your editor too much. I don't know. I'm kind of pushing that. I mean, I usually have something for my editor like every 2 weeks. So I definitely keep her busy. Okay. Queen Alina, giving some advice. So as long as you get words on the page, I think a balance of writing into the dark and plotting is the best way to do it. So I feel both sides of the debate. Interesting point. Haley says, I'm a mega plotter and will use October for some discovery writing. Very cool. And Ty asks, what are your thoughts on using on a Zoom Power Hour where we can ask questions verbally, like a writing community or something? That's a really good suggestion, Ty. I've never thought about that actually. Yeah, I'd have to figure out some details around registration and just making sure that everybody can get in. So yeah, let me take that away. I'll think about it. That's actually a really good suggestion. Let's see. Wyland says, how are you liking short story writing? You seem to be enjoying it. Oh yeah, if I didn't enjoy it, Wyland, I wouldn't do it. So I've written, I think I wrote 5 short stories this past month, and the first short stories I've written in like 5 years. So I'm trying to get back into it. Dean Wesley Smith gave me a push and said, yeah, you really should think about doing this again. So trying to do it and trying to practice, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm writing. I've written mostly fantasy stories so far, but I wrote a sci-fi story as well. And yeah, I'm trying. I think I said this on my blog. I'm trying to do the Ray Bradbury challenge now because I wrote 5 short stories last month, and I was doing the math, and I was like, if I keep this pace, not only will I hit my novel counts that I want to hit, but I could also do the 52 short stories in 1 year that Ray Bradbury keeps talking about. And it's like, that's intriguing. It's really intriguing. And I'm sending those stories out to magazines as well, Wyland. So my hope is that I can sell some short stories. And I actually did sell one. I actually got an editor that bought or agreed to buy one of my short stories last week. So I don't know. It seems to, maybe that's just beginner's luck. That's what happens when you go to the casino, right? You pull the slots for the first time, and then you get the jackpot, and you get all that money, and then you just give it all back to the house. I don't know if that's what this will be like, if that was just beginner's luck that I just happened to sell one of the first short stories that I wrote. But, it's good marketing, because when you publish or when you get short stories published in a magazine, there's all sorts of readers out there that now discover you who wouldn't have discovered you otherwise. And it's kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, or I probably shouldn't say that. It's probably like getting 2 things done at the same time. It's probably a more vegan-friendly way to say that. But you really are. You're writing, you're practicing, you're getting better at your craft, and you're also marketing at the same time. And it doesn't really cost you anything. I send my short stories to a copy editor before I send them to magazines, but the only reason I do that is because I want to reserve the right to publish that story in a collection later. So if I edit it as soon as I get it done, I'm gonna remember it a lot more, and then it's done. I don't have to worry about it. So then that way, if I want to put it into a collection later, I can do that. I already know it's been edited, and the best time to do is when you finish. That's the only reason I do that. All right, but let's see. Yeah, we're talking about. Oh, okay. DCJ asked, "What is discovery writing?" Yeah, discovery writing is there's three terms for it that I've heard. The first is discovery writing, which is honestly probably the better term, and that's where you write as you discover what's going to happen in the story as you write it. That's probably the better term, but that's really not the term that a lot of people use. The term that most people use is what's called pantsing, and that's writing by the seat of your pants. I've never really liked that term. I mean, it's really more. The only reason I use the term is because it's the term that people understand. I've never really liked the term, and I didn't really understand why until Joanna Penn made a post yesterday, and I was like, oh, crap. That's why I don't like it. So the term pantsing in England, so here in the United States, we use the term pants to refer to, the trousers or, pants that you're actually wearing over, your underwear and stuff like that. But apparently I found out in England, the term pants actually refers to underwear. So, yeah. But that is by far the way that most people understand the term. So that's the second term. The third way to refer to it is writing into the dark, which isn't as nearly as popular as like discovery writing or pantsing, but it's another way to describe it. So if you hear me mentioning those three things, we do it. And I wrote a book, actually. It's called The Pocket Guide to Pantsing. And I'm thinking long term, I may change the name of that. All right. Wyland says, I'm also considering getting the TMNT books you're reading. Are they worth it? Yeah, I've been reading the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics by IDW. They're the most recent comics that have come out. They're absolutely fantastic. Probably my favorite version of the Turtles. I'm a big Turtles fan, but my favorite version of the Turtles by far. Wyland, I'll give you a pro tip. You can actually read them on Comixology. So if you get a Comixology subscription or sign up for a free trial, you can actually download all of them there and read them there. So because they are expensive otherwise. But yeah, I love that series. It's lost a little bit of steam around like Volume 10, but I really do love that series. All right. Wyland says, when some of your stories come out in magazines, please link us to them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when that comes out, I mean, I certainly will let my mailing list know, share it on my YouTube channel, all that stuff. So it's good stuff. Let's see. Nicholas says, any advice on not feeling guilty for taking personal time? I was up till 3 a.m. working, meeting my goals. Still felt guilty to wake up and see you guys at it. Well, Nicholas, don't tie your feelings to your productivity. That's everything. And you tell me if I'm understanding you correctly. Yeah, take your personal time. I mean, at the end of the day, here's the thing: if you don't take your personal time and you burn yourself out, then is it worth it? I don't think so. I've actually been debating on taking a day or two because I've got a bunch of stuff I have to do. Just like I got like 3 books that I need to publish, and I haven't gotten around to them because I've been so busy trying to hit my word count goals that I need to step back and say, okay, I need to just not write for 2 or 3 days and get this stuff done so that it doesn't occupy my brain because that affects my productivity. But even if it's not writing related, I mean, if you just want to take some personal time just to chill, there's nothing wrong with that. Do it. I mean, everybody has their own goals. I recognize that, my goals are a bit intense, but I don't try to tell other people that that's what they should do. I think everybody's writing goals are relative, so I wouldn't feel guilty about it at all. I was reading an article on burnout. It turns out I'm probably going to do a book on this in the future, but it turns out there's a lot of science around burnout. And I was reading an article, I think it was Marissa Mayer. She was like the top executive at Facebook, or I think it was her. She said something about resentment and always asking yourself if you feel resentful about where you are in your career. Do you feel resentful that you're not more successful, or resentful that, magazine didn't buy your story, or whatever. whatever that is. And if the answer is yes, you're feeling resentful, then you really got to check in with yourself and try to stop from burning out. So anyway, I'm giving you a long, rambly answer, but I think you shouldn't feel guilty about taking some time to do you. And when you take your time, it doesn't have to be productive. You can feel free and empowered to do what you want to do. And that's what I'll say about that. Queen Alina fan, I think about someone getting pantsed when I hear pantsing. Now, I'm intrigued, Queen Alina. What does pantsed as a verb mean? I have a feeling I'm not going to like that answer. Okay. Wyland, when I think of British terminology of pants, I think of mumbo jumbo on YouTube. I've never seen mumbo jumbo on YouTube. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, Queen Alina fan. I don't like using it in real life because people think I'm talking about pranking people. That's not so bad. I thought you were going to say something like this, not safe for work. Or, get beat up in an alley. Oh, man, he got pants yesterday. Okay. Deadly Tarantula Girl. Okay, just want to say I'm enjoying your content and benefiting from listening to your advice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Wyland says, I do have Comixology, but I don't really enjoy reading comics on a phone. Wyland, I don't either, but I got to do what I got to do. My wife will kill me if I buy more books. So Kindle has been, or reading on phones has been probably a lifesaver for me. Let's see. .c. Oh, okay. I think you're referring to my book, Pocket Guide to Pantsing. Lots of good info, rediscovery writing. Loved it and reinforced what I've been doing. Awesome. Great to hear that. And Nicholas, I'm being productive, but just feel like I should always be working. I know I shouldn't burn myself out. Yeah, that's one of the downsides to this life that I don't think we talk about enough. Is there's never a destination. You can always continue writing. There's always something else to write. That's the biggest problem I have. There's always something else to write. There's always a beast to feed. So, for example, I just finished this short story. Today, I got to write a magazine article because I have to meet a deadline. And then after that, I have to start the next Beast Mode book. And then I've also got to do this cover work that I'm taking for Dean Wesley Smith's course. Oh, and then I've also got to do some other stuff. There's just an endless supply of things. There will always be something next to do. And I think what I've had to do over the last few years is just check in with myself and say, okay, yeah, there's always going to be something to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to do it now. And if it means not writing for a week or taking some time off or working on another project or taking some time to work on my website or just taking some time to do nothing at all, right? It's okay. I think about writing as a long-term journey, right? So, if you write for the rest of your life, assuming you live to be a decent age, right? I don't know how old you are, Nicholas, but you look fairly young. So if you write for a long time, say the next 20, 30 years, does it really matter that you took a week off? Just do the math. On how many because I can't do mental math on the top of my head, but 365 days in a year times 10 is 3,650 days times 2 is 7,300 300 days in 20 years, all right? 7,300 days in 20 years. If you write for the next 20 years, I don't think anybody's going to come to your house and shoot you if you subtract 7 days from that, just think about it like that. And then I think you'll think about it correctly, and maybe you won't feel so bad about taking some time off. And yeah, there's always short-term things you want to think about, like, okay, if I publish this many books this year, then potentially I could make some more money. There's always the money considerations and the feeling like you got to keep stuff in front of your fans and so on and so forth. But the reality is that you don't have to do any of that stuff. And yes, there are readers out there that will forget about you if you don't release a book every 3 months or whatever. And yes, it does become harder to maintain momentum if you don't release books on a steady schedule. And all of that, there's some element of truth to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you have to do. All right. So, I don't know. Just think about it like that. Queen Alina, yeah, as a former night worker, you can't be running yourself ragged, especially with late nights. If you run yourself ragged, your productivity will nosedive. Yes, it will, and you'll burn out. I think that's critical. Yeah, Jonathan, I took 6 months off and I'm getting back to it. Yeah, and that's okay. You never fail at writing unless you just quit writing altogether, right? Okay. I used to work security where my job was hours and hours of sitting around, and I didn't make sure to decompress. Or if I didn't make sure to decompress, I would go from 4-digit word counts to 3 digits. Yeah, and that makes a big difference. That makes a big difference. Wyland says, what's your favorite food or a few favorites? Also, anyone here in the chat. I love hearing people's favorite foods. That's a good question, Wyland. I would say I like... I'm a beef guy. I like beef. I do like... why am I blanking on this? I don't know. I like ice cream. But for a professional chef, that's not things you probably want to hear. Yeah, but I like soups. That's probably one of my favorite things this time of year. I like a good soup, like a good homemade, like chicken noodle soup. You know, where you actually like you buy a chicken, like a raw chicken, you cut it up, you put it in like broth, you cut up the carrots, you buy fresh zucchinis and carrots and cilantro and potatoes and as much as you can, and you just throw it into a bowl. That's one of my favorite things to eat. But my favorite meal of all time is probably pig ears and sauerkraut. My great-grandmother used to make that for me every year for my birthday. Pig ears, sauerkraut, and a German chocolate cake. So if I could resurrect her from the grave, that's what I would be eating right now. I'll tell you that. Let's see. Queen, I'm having a mild love affair, or a love affair with more mild curries. Yeah, I love curries too. Those are good stuff. They're fun to make at home too. Nicholas, I was working on my last novel last night. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I already saw that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Queen Alina says writing, martial arts like writing is a journey. Sometimes we got to slow down, and sometimes we got to step on the gas. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And Jonathan, as many novels as Raymond Chandler. I think he wrote 5. I'd be happy with that. And Jonathan, I think you could do better than that. I think you could do better than that. I mean, I said early in my career that I think I wanted to write 10 novels in my entire career. You imagine me I said that. That was my goal in like 2012. I want to write 10 novels. If I can do that, I'm good. And yeah, now I write like 10 novels a year. So, yeah, Raymond Chandler is a great author. So whatever your goal is, but I bet you could probably do better than 5. Okay. Yeah, Iniko Neko, hope I said your name right. When we are productive, it's important to take time to appreciate what we have, or we undermine the importance of what we do. Yeah, and also I think it's also important to remember that what you do is not who you are. You just happen to be someone who creates really cool stuff, but that doesn't, whether it succeeds or fails has no bearing on feelings of yourself, I think is another really important thing to say. All right, we got to vote for chicken in here. Yep, got to vote for chicken. Let's see. And Wyland says, on your cookbook, Wyland, this book is not meant to be super gourmet. The idea is a little restaurant and a transfer station in space with limited resources. That's cool. And Light Sun Zayan, hope I said your name right. Your videos are mad informative. Keep it up. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. All right. It's good stuff, everybody. I mean, this is that time of year where, start thinking about your goals, right? Because I think it's an easy time to do that this year, especially when it's nice outside. And I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I'm not seeing any more questions. So we can go ahead and wrap up the Power Hour this month. But before we do that, let's take a look at the calendar so I can let you all know when the next Power Hour is. I was not on good behavior. I usually do this before. So the next Power Hour will be Saturday, November 5th. All right, Saturday, November 5th. I will send out reminders on my YouTube channel for those of you who want to know. And yeah, it's really good stuff, everybody. So happy writing, happy Preptober. I guess when we talk next, we'll be in NaNoWriMo. All right. So for those of you who are doing NaNoWriMo, good luck, and I hope that hope you have a good month. So take care, everybody.